Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I appreciate you guys joining me today. Get started in just a second. Okay, I had a request to do this on Facebook Live as well because some people couldn't join in on Zoom. So I'll start that and then we'll get started. Okay, welcome to Meaning Mondays. For those of you who are joining us by Facebook, every Monday at 12 o'clock Central, we have a gathering to discuss how to have a more meaningful life and topics related to that. Happens every Monday on a Zoom call. If you go to my website, michaellister.com, you can get information about how to join us, and we would love to have you. But for today, we're going to be on Facebook, so you can join us this way. So last week, we talked about stress and strategies to deal with stress, looking at how stress is affecting our lives and what it's doing. And we tried to measure the level of stress in our lives. And so I want to ask you again today, for those of you who are joining us today, on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you say your stress level is? If 10 is the highest level it could be, and 1 is just not even there or barely registering, then just think about where you might be. And last week when we were talking about stress, I said this week we would talk about anxiety. And there's a lot of topics we cover that I know a little something about. If we get into the search for meaning, or the wisdom traditions, which have degrees in and have taught at the college level, some of those things I can speak to with a certain amount of educated experience. When it comes to stress and anxiety, I am not in any way an expert. I am not someone who experiences that much stress and anxiety, at least to some of the degrees and levels that we're looking at today. I'm also not an expert in any way. I don't have degrees in this. I have done a lot of counseling, but primarily in the crisis counseling, premarital counseling, spiritual, life coaching type counseling. I will say that if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling anxious, and it's not manageable or it's not going away, I do highly recommend that you talk to a doctor and or a counselor. That would be a great investment of time and money, and I think would help you in a lot of ways. To begin with, I want to reiterate what we talked about last week, which is there is a good and healthy place for stress. Stress, can happen because a situation arises that we need to respond to, and it's our mind and our body's way of dealing with it. And so our heart rate may increase, and our alertness and our ability to handle something that needs being taken care of, that's not a negative thing. That can be a very positive thing. but living with stress, stress becoming a lifestyle, moving into the area of actually living with anxiety. Now, I've looked at a lot of different statistics about stress and anxiety, and then we also, each of us, just know, looking around at our world, in our culture, looking on social media, we know people are stressed. We know people are anxious. Some of the statistics are I find pretty staggering, to the level that I'm not sure I trust them on how many people they're actually saying are living with some kind of a generalized anxiety or an actual anxiety disorder. But it is a lot higher than it should be. And I'll say it's a lot higher than it has to be. And so today, not only are we going to talk about anxiety, but we're going to talk about things we can do to deal with it. We need to, more than anything else, we need to know ourselves. We need to understand what our triggers are. We need to understand what causes us, where the source of our stress is, and our anxiety. And it could very well be that the stress and anxiety that we're feeling goes back to early experiences in childhood, trauma, abuse, neglect. No matter how wonderful our childhoods are, and I can tell you, I had an absolutely wonderful one. I had two very loving parents and providers, and I received an awful lot of good things from them. I was raised in a small town, very community oriented, and was surrounded by family and friends, and was safe. And given all that, I still have trauma and anxiety from childhood. It's called life, and things happen that are traumatic, and there's a spectrum of that. And there's some things, if we're maybe more sensitive than another soul, we might find something stressful or traumatic that somebody else wouldn't. And so we all have it, and we all have to deal with it. But for those of us who are living with anxiety, and it has become a way of life, your life, I am telling you, can be better than it is right now. There are solutions, there is help, it is available, but it will take action on your part to deal with it. Let's start with a definition of anxiety. Anxiety is the mind and body's reaction to stressful, dangerous, or unfamiliar situations. It is the sense of uneasiness, distress, or dread you feel before a significant event. A certain level of anxiety helps us stay alert and aware, but for those of us suffering from an anxiety disorder, it feels far from normal and can actually be debilitating. So let's say that you have a presentation to make at work, and you're nervous, you're anxious about it, you want to do your best, and you study and you prepare, and then as it comes time to do it, you realize that, oh man, my heart is racing, and you're sweating, and different physiological things are happening. Those are all good things. Those are the body's way of, the sweating is to cool down, the heart rate is to make sure you have extra oxygen and all that you need to do this presentation. And the chances are, once you begin, some of those things will subside, especially if you get comfortable and you feel like it's going well. But can you imagine if that's your normal lifestyle? That's your normal way of being in the world, is to be anxious. It's related to fear. So think about, we're living in an age of social media where we are seeing people's thoughts and their reactions in real time. And we're seeing, especially for some people who put out just unfiltered their thoughts, their feelings, their reactions to everything. And in them, we see an awful lot of stress and anxiety and paranoia. And it's all related to fear. Someone's after me. Someone's out to get me. Someone's going to take away my way of life. Someone is going to take what I want. Are they going to come and get what I already have? And that paranoia and fear we have in this dynamic is just being fed. We have whole groups of people that are organizing themselves based on this, based on the fear, based on the anxiety, based on the paranoia, and they feed each other, and it grows and grows and grows, and it becomes this lifestyle that is so dangerous and is so bad for our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health. It is stress and anxiety are meant to be temporary reactions to some situation we have to deal with, not a baseline way of living. So if you are finding yourself on an ongoing basis worried, stressed, overwhelmed, unable to focus, not able to sleep particularly well, and you go walk around with this level of fear and paranoia and unease, then chances are you are living with some kind of anxiety. It could be a generalized anxiety. It could be an anxiety disorder. I can't diagnose you, and neither should you. You should go seek out professional help to really deal with this. But I'm going to give you some strategies to help you begin this process of living a more meaningful, a better life that has a higher quality of life for you, related to mental health, your spiritual life, your physical health, the way your body works. Number one, when you're feeling fearful, and this is on any level, so psychologically, or physically, whatever it happens to be, stay away from researching this stuff online. So if you're feeling like you have something's going on in your body, so you have a stomach ache and you're real fearful and anxious about it. I don't feel off. I feel one of the worst things you can do is to go to WebMD and try to diagnose yourself. If you're feeling particularly anxious and nervous about the state of the world, or politics, or wars, or crime, one of the worst things you can do is seek out your confirmation biases online that'll tell you, yes, you're right. And you know what? You're not nearly worried enough. Things are far worse than you think they are. You're not panicking nearly as much as you should. So one of the worst things we can do is go online and begin to have those things feed us. In reading about and looking at this topic, I came across a term I'd never heard before, which is cyberchondria. And so we have some kind of symptom, and we go online to find out what it is. That is cyberchondria, and I highly recommend that we do not do it. Number two, when you're stressing, when something you feel anxious, nervous, upset, practice the I know you've all heard this before, but practice HALT. HALT. Ask yourself, are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Or are you tired? And there's times where we're feeling certain things because we're one of these. We're hungry. And you know, our blood sugar levels or something happening in our bodies are causing us not to feel our best. Maybe we're sleepy. Maybe we need a nap. We need a sandwich. We need something to. So ask yourselves those kind of things and address them. If you're feeling lonely, get together with somebody. I mean, make a phone call if you can't do anything else. But maybe you could meet a friend for a cup of coffee or lunch or something, or reach out. And if you're hungry, angry, lonely, and tired, then meet a friend for lunch. That's going to take care of the hunger and the loneliness. And then when you get back, take a nap, and you're on your way to feeling better immediately. Practice 4-7-8 breathing. This is a good immediate reaction response to either feeling anxious or upset, fearful, nervous, or trying to fall asleep. Breathe in for a 4 count, 4 seconds, hold it for 7, breathe out for 8. And just do that deep breathing, deep cleansing breaths. And if you do that, you can turn this into a type of meditation, a mindful meditation, if you will concentrate on your breathing and put your attention there. That is going to bring the mind and the body together because you are actually thinking about what you're doing, breathing in and out. So try that 4, 7, and 8 breathing. Another thing you should do, in contrast to the first thing, which I said, stay away from finding bad stuff online that confirms all your fears and anxieties. Consume good content. When you're nervous, when you're fearful, when you're stressed, turn to positive, helpful, healing content. It can be a podcast, it can be a teaching, it could be a certain piece of music, a great book, read poetry. Turn to that which edifies, uplifts, encourages, and brings calmness and peace. So rather than turn into that which is going to make us more anxious and confirm to us that we should be worried and we should be upset, turn to those things that feed the soul, that feed the peace, that feed the love, that reassure us in positive ways. The next one I would say is move. Whatever you're capable of doing. I'm not saying exercise. If you can exercise, great, but just move. And your movement may come down to just, stretching a little bit, moving your upper body, arms. If you're not able to walk, if you're able to walk, getting up out of your seat and walking. Go for a short walk. Maybe it's stretching. Maybe it's whatever it is, but get into motion. There's stress and anxiety, I think, cause us to sort of curl in on ourselves and all the tension and we feel in our bodies when we're stressed out and when we're anxious. Getting up, moving, stretching, and especially if you can go for a walk or get out in nature, just get into some movement out in nature. And again, even if you're confined to a wheelchair, you can go out and move in nature, get close to, some trees and hearing some birds singing, and it'll make all the difference. The next one I would say is meditate. I talked a little bit a moment ago about breathing, but a certain type of meditation where you're just breathing in and out and you're allowing these anxious thoughts to come. Of course, they're going to come, but then you send them on their way. And that's such a good practice. And that's all it is, a spiritual, mental, psychological practice of seeing your thoughts, but not clinging to them. So fear and stress come and you see it and say, okay, go on your way, because I'm just going to go back to thinking about concentrating on my breathing. Another fearful thought comes. You go your way. I'm not going to react to you. I'm not going to, what we normally do is we have a fearful thought and then we just dive down a rabbit hole of thought leads to thought leads to thought, and we get more and more anxious and nervous and upset. But if we'll just come back to our breathing, in and out, and let those thoughts go, it's a powerful, powerful tool. And not only does it help you in the moment that you're meditating, but it will help you throughout life, and you won't react so anxiously to stressful situations. You'll handle them better because of your practice of mindful meditation. The next one I would say is just practice mindfulness. Be present where you are, be fully aware and alert and awake, not thinking about the past or stressing about the future. That's where we get into our great anxiety, is when we're not present. You think about right now in this present moment. For the vast majority of us, not all of us, of course, but everything's okay. Everything's okay. You're not sitting there under a threat I don't think you'd be joining us right now if someone was sitting there holding a gun to your head, or your world's about to collapse and you everything's okay. If you stay in the moment, and the present moment, you're okay. You're going to reduce stress and anxiety in your life so much. It's when I'm worried about this upcoming deadline. It's when I'm worried about this upcoming procedure I have. It's when I'm worried about this bill that I have to pay. It's when I'm worried about what could possibly happen in the future to me or my loved ones. That's when we get anxious. Most, not all, but most of our fears are unfounded. They say that worrying is like praying for what you don't want to happen. Fear is when it consumes us, we live with dread. And let's say that what we fear actually happens. Then by worrying about it and stressing about it and being anxious over it, all that means is it happened twice, or we prolonged the experience of it. But for the most part, it doesn't happen. The things we fear don't happen. And so we've made them happen. We've lived as if they happen, even when they don't, because we stressed and feared and worried about them for so long. The next one, and this is important and helpful, is talk to somebody. Again, I recommend talking to professional counselors, ministers, spiritual leaders, somebody that, but just a close friend, just a caring person is so helpful to talk. And when you're talking, I promise you this, when you begin to talk about your fears, you get them out of here where they're so huge and overwhelming, into the light, and you begin to see how small they are and how unfounded they are and how manageable things are. Talk with somebody. An exchange of cares and concerns, an interaction. And if you get together and you have this conversation over a meal, it is so therapeutic and so helpful. So I highly recommend that you talk to someone. And if you can't get together in person, Zoom with them. Pick up the phone and call them. And you're like, dude, nobody calls anymore. We just text. Text them and tell them, hey, I really need to talk, so I'm about to call you. Prepare yourself. A phone call is coming. It's amazing how many people don't want to be called. But tell them, I need to talk. Text is not going to do it. And good friends will listen and let you do that. When you're afraid of something, but you feel like you need to do it, start small. Take a small step. Most everything that matters and is important is not things that can be done quickly. It's not things we can rush. Or, I mean, we can try to rush them, but they won't be rushed. So whatever this journey is that you're fearful of, all you have to do today is take the first step or first few steps. You don't have to walk cross country. Just take a few steps, walk in the right direction, make a small move towards something. And it may be spending some time online or on the phone looking for a counselor, or looking for a doctor, or looking for a support group, or looking for new opportunities to socialize. And so you say, I'm isolated. I feel cut off. And so you say, let me find a book club. Let me find a dancing lessons, or join the ukulele orchestra, or join this church or spiritual meeting, or AA or NA, or neighborhood watch, whatever it is. Let me do something to become more social, to begin to deal with the stress and anxiety. Just take the first step. Do something small toward it. The next thing, this sort of relates to what I was talking about earlier about talking to someone, but it's also somewhat different. And that is, name your fear. Name it. What are you afraid of? What are you so scared of that's causing you It's ruining your health. It is taking away your quality of life. If it's that powerful and it's that important, name it. I want to hear what it is. And when you name it and you begin to examine it and you share it with others, chances are it's going to become manageable. Chances are it's not going to be nearly what you thought it was when it's trapped in the basement of your psyche, and it's this simian creature down there feeding a furnace of negativity and fear and all kind of, horrible stuff. It's bring it out into the light, and you'll be amazed at how manageable it can become. And especially if you do so with someone you trust and can help, all the better. If you're feeling stressed and anxious, I said this last week, I'll say it again this week, say no. Somebody's asking you to do even more, you're being pulled in so many different directions, say no. Say I've reached the end of my bandwidth. And even if you've already said yes to stuff, go back and say no. You know what? I said I could do that. I realized I can't, and I'm sorry. I thought I could, but I've got too much going, and it is causing me to have mental and psychological and spiritual and emotional and physical issues. I'm sorry, I have to say no. I just can't do it. Practice. Well, I'll come back to that one. Maybe I'll finish with that one. Look at your diet, because so much of what's happening in us, the physical and mental are so connected. And a bad diet, an unhealthy diet, is going to affect us in ways that we just can't even imagine. Again, mentally and emotionally, not just physically. So look at what you're eating. Look at how much you eat. There's so much research done on eating less. An actual less caloric intake increases longevity. There's been so many studies that showed that. Certain monkeys and different research they've done, they just less caloric intake increases longevity. So it's not only that it helps you in the short term, helps you feel better and be healthier now, but it's going to give you a longer, better life. Make sure you're getting enough of what your body needs. So not just eat less or eat better, but make sure. I take a lot of supplements and have for decades now. And I hear the jokes. People say, "Oh, all you're doing is creating expensive urine. That's all you're doing." Maybe so. I don't know, but I do know that I have never looked for any of the supplements I take to do anything in the short term or immediate anything. I'm doing it. I'm playing the long game. And I know that with them, I have had, I can't complain about my health and where I am and what I'm able to do at my age. So I know part of it has to do with exercise and movement and staying active, but I know part of it is diet and the supplements. I have gotten, and you can say, and my doctor said this, and I'm sure it is true, that our bodies change, our chemistry changes over time as we age. And so what I was about to say is, through supplements and the things I do, I have gotten a better management of my migraines. My doctor said that's probably partially your body changing as you age, granted, but he said it probably is the magnesium and the different supplements you're taking, the vitamin D and things. So I don't know. I don't know, but I can't argue with how great I feel most of the time, and that is a gift, and that is a blessing. And there's genetics and things that we have no control over. But why wouldn't we do the things we do have control over? And that's all I'm attempting to do. So consider that. Surround yourself with positive people, with people who will encourage you, with people who will help you, not people who will drain energy from you, not people who will feed your fear, feed your negativity, feed your anxiety. Surround yourself with the people who do just the opposite, will make you calm, will make you peaceful. Now, you may say part of my mission in life is to help those people who are fearful and negative and stressed and upset. Great, that's fine. But that you're in a helping role, that you're going to help them. You're not staying with them all the time. They're not your main resource. You're giving to them. So the rest of the time, you need to be receiving good things so that you can help others. If not, you have nothing to give and you won't be able to help them, and they're going to drain you. And this relates to the last one I want to finish with, which is practice. Practice. And one of the first sessions I ever did on Meaning Mondays had to do is related to practice. Practice. Everything that matters, everything we need to do is a practice. Practice. So that means it's not a one-time thing. That means it's not something we do occasionally. We have a routine, a practice of self-care. What do you need? Well, who do you think is going to get that for you? You are. You're responsible. You as an adult are responsible for you. Nobody else can be responsible for you. So you know what you need. Ask yourself, what do I need? Oh, I need more rest. Then clear your schedule. Then do what you need to get more rest. Oh, I need more free time. Free up your schedule. Oh, I need more interaction with positive people. Then put some things on your calendar. Get with some positive people. Do positive things. You are responsible for you. Do what you need to do in order to get what you need. And that is going to mean a daily routine of self-care, a practice. I mentioned earlier about my exercise. I have a routine of exercise. I have a routine of supplements. I have a routine of sleep and of eating. And that's all part of self-care. I also have a routine of talking to people, of when I'm in need, or when I just of socializing, but not just some surface general, but deep connecting. Reading books that edify and encourage and strengthen. Listening to teachings, to podcasts, to music. Those are self-care routines. And yet, I mean, you can go to get a massage, or go have your, get a pedicure or manicure. You can go sit on the beach for, as the sun's going down, go to the park. There's millions of things we can do to take care of ourselves. We just need to do them. We need to do them on a consistent basis, and it will change the quality of our lives, and we will see stress and anxiety begin to dissipate. And if we do these things and it doesn't, it is time to go to the doctor. It is time to go to a counselor, because it may be anxiety disorder. It may be PTSD. It may be stress from we can't even be aware of, or from childhood. And so seek professional help at that point. For those of you who joined us with Facebook Live, thank you so much for being with us. I hope you'll join us another time on Meaning Mondays. All right. Anybody have anything they'd like to say, react, respond?
I agree with you, Michael, in taking supplements, especially as you age. I'm a firm believer of vitamin C to help your immune system as you age, because as an oncology nurse, I have seen people healthy their entire life and just kind of fall apart when they get to their 60s and 70s. And my doctor always told me that you are responsible for your own health. So you need to evaluate yourself and do something about it. And this is a really excellent topic on doing something to help yourself and not listening to negativity. Negativity will take you down. And my husband and I try to avoid negative people when we can. And sometimes it's not possible, but most of the time it's good, to do that. And as a result, we're on the happy scale pretty much.
Nice.
So anyway, good to see you guys today.
You too.
I thought of one, skip the evening news a couple nights.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, humor, gotta get humor. That helps.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's related to what I was saying about be careful with the content that you're getting. I'll tell you a mistake I've made over and over and over and over in the course of my life that you may or may not be able to relate to. But I have had this sense of purpose and calling since childhood, since early adolescence, as a teacher, as a minister, as a healer, as a helper. And so I see that as part of my mission in life. And because of that, I have been around, negative, damaged, really people who are just negative. Let's leave it at that, negative. I've entered in relationships with people, whether they be business or friendships or even significant other relationships with people who I thought, I will heal them. I will help them. I'll be their savior, their rescuer, their whatever. And we have to be very careful. And I would tell myself, and I still believe it, hey, I'm strong enough. I can handle this. I think I've proved that. But being strong enough or handling it is not our best state of life. It's not, the best quality of life we could have. So we can, like I said earlier, put ourselves out there to help others, but that shouldn't be all we ever do. We've got to re-energize. We've got to self-care. We've got to have the positive input, and then we can go out and help those who are negative and draining. And so we have to be careful with our calls, our sense of calls, our sense of mission and purpose, that we are not foolish and prideful. And I've been both of those things for sure. Looks like we have about 2 minutes left, although that timer has not been accurate lately. But anybody else have anything they want to share?
Music.
Last week about gratitude was really good, and I think that's probably can also work with anxiety.
Absolutely. Yeah, I left that one off the list this week. That's really good.
Music is soothing.
Yes. The speaking of gratitude, counting your blessings, naming them one by one. I've learned in relationship that if somebody, a good friend, a spouse, a child aggravates you, and if you just start listing all the great things about them and how much you're grateful for all the wonderful things they are, you forget about the little thing that just bothers you. And the same is true of life. Count your blessings, say thank you, write them down, or at least mentally go through them, and you realize, things are great. We're out of time. Thank y'all so much for being here. Love you guys, and I hope to see y'all next week. Have a great week.
Have a great week.
Take care.